Evaluation of the central bank's journey in 22 years. This article is very tedious, it is a climax. Summary of what the monetary reform has done for the banking system: purchasing value, currency itself, exchange rate, all of this. The whole monetary reform education that has been presented up to this date, behold. The CBI? The citizens of Iraq. Because they've been educated on what they're about to receive and do. This is a wonderful summary. Iraq hits 2.8%, economic hopes soar. Yes, only 2.8%, and this is fantastic and amazing news, since this is way in line with acceptable inflation rates for country, according to the IMF. Question: will Iraq have an RV or an revalue or reinstatement? Marks: I think it will be an around $3.23 or so at the bare minimum. More if they take into account inflation. Be serious about it. You know very well it's coming, you can read the signs. You can't read Arabic, but you can read English. You can read the articles. You have the cerebral capability to understand that's a good guy, that's a bad guy, and the good guy is saying the good things and the bad guy is saying the bad things. So deep in our hearts you should sleep good like I did. The different gurus talk about how great the economy is. And keep saying these are the big signs that the Iraqi dinar is going to revalue. I don't disagree with that. I just disagree with the way they think it's going to happen as far as the revaluation is concerned. The informal market are now feeling the pinch because they're having a harder time to get the dollar, they're going to have to pay a lot more for it. You can go to the central bank and get it for 1,320 instead of 1,460, 1,500, 1,600. But it's probably going to climb. Because the parallel market is insignificant in comparison to the total market, it's about 5%. 95% of the people that are doing business are doing it properly, which is huge. Transport. Advanced steps to lift the European ban on Iraqi Airways in 2025 inches. I reported some time back that Maliki had been caught with a jet filled with dinar attempting to depart for Switzerland. The jet was initially detained but ultimately allowed to depart Iraq. I saw video of the detainment, and the interior of the plane, and judging by the volume of dinar on board, it had to be multiple trillions of dinar. Article: Iraq's Federal Commission of Integrity, COI, has called on United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, member states to enhance legal cooperation in recovering stolen assets and illicit funds. Swiss Ambassador Daniel Hun praised Iraq's reconstruction efforts, affirming Switzerland's readiness to cooperate in recovering stolen assets, and confirmed that Swiss authorities are actively working with Iraq to facilitate the repatriation of funds. Financial and economic measures. Iraqi Finance Ministry announces results of its meeting with the International Monetary Fund. Quote, the Ministries of Finance, Planning, Oil, Electricity and the Central Bank participated, focused on macroeconomic indicators, where a remarkable growth in non-oil GDP was recorded at 5% for 2024, driven by the expansion of the agricultural sector and increased public spending, with growth expected to continue at 3.5% in 2025. It was agreed to intensify efforts to expand cooperation with foreign correspondent banks, in addition to enhancing the use of the Iraqi dinar in major transactions, which enhances the strength of the national currency. What do you mean by budget tables? Budget table is where the exchange rate is at that will fund the budget. They're being kept quiet, very private right now, because it protects the new exchange rate from the evil that has always stolen. One is dealing with the price that Iraq is selling oil. There's a little controversy on this. Well, the contract rate on the Iraqi dinar is tied to what Iraq is selling their oil for, what they're selling it to Turkey, Egypt, China for, and any other number of countries. And so that price needs to be settled on, before the contract rate can be established for the dinar. The other thing we've heard relating to the contract rate, is a rate that was agreed upon already in a contract with Iraq. So that sort of negates what I just said about worrying about the new price of what that oil might sell for. They have a rate, and it's extremely good. 3 very good sources, over the last couple of days were saying that we would be exchanging no later than Saturday. Now that is possible. The latest thing we got this afternoon were from redemption center leaders, and one of whom is over 3 redemption centers, the other one is over 6, 7 redemption centers. They're good sources. Well, these 2 leaders are saying we're going to get notifications over the weekend and start exchanges early next week, which would be Monday or Tuesday, so there appears to be a couple of things that might be slight hold-ups. Parliamentarian budget tables have not reached the Finance Committee so far. We are all wondering why. There is one very obvious answer to this question. I am hearing from contacts in Iraq they continue to delay until they are allowed to release, because there will be rates in there. I hope it is accurate and it makes a lot of sense. The Iraqi Ministry of Agriculture announced, on Sunday, that it has achieved an increase in olive oil production rates during the year 2025. The ministry said in a statement today that it was able to obtain high oil percentages of 18% from different olive varieties such as Bakewell, Jarafa and St. Catherine, which is considered a historic achievement in the olive sector in Iraq. The statement added that this achievement came after 3 years of hard and diligent work that included collecting fruits from several regions and using different presses to ensure obtaining the best results. According to the ministry, despite the challenges faced by farmers in the past years, when the oil content was less than 10%, production rates have currently improved. The head of the Iraq Future Foundation, Mana al-Obeidi, revealed on Sunday the rate of Iraq's revenues and spending during the last 10 years. While he indicated that the country spends $100 billion annually, which is higher than the annual spending of 3 countries with strong economies, he pointed out that the country's problem is not with resources, but with the way they are managed. Al-Obeidi said in a statement received by Shafaq news agency, over the course of 10 years, Iraq's total revenues amounted to 1,028 trillion Iraqi dinars, with oil revenues accounting for 92% of the total revenues, while tax and customs revenues and other sources contributed only 8%. He added, in contrast, Iraq spent 1,007 trillion Iraqi dinars during the same period, in addition to unliquidated loans ranging between 100 to 150 trillion dinars, which means that total spending exceeded 1,100 trillion Iraqi dinars, which is approximately equivalent to $1 trillion. He continued, therefore, Iraq's annual spending rate becomes around $100 billion, which is higher than the spending rate of many developed countries, as the annual spending rate for each of the following reached: the United Arab Emirates, $65 billion, Malaysia, $82 billion,